Hey everyone, we're back with another episode of How to Get My Job. We sit down with amazing people within the design and product industry and ask them how their careers started, evolved, and what advice they have for those coming after them. Joining us today is Ineshka De Silva, a senior design consultant at Capco. She's also a digital content creator, and you can find her channel at Ineshka De Silva, where she's serving up some amazing UI UX tips. Hey Ineshka, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
And yeah, I must say, I do love your Instagram channel. Some of the inspiration on there is amazing. So I do highly recommend people go and check it out. Yeah, enough fangirling. Let's jump into it with the first question. How did you get your first job in design?
So this is a very interesting question because I'm sure, like many people, it's definitely not a sort of a one-way sort of street. So I graduated from industrial design and tech from Brunel University. And much like many students, I kind of went on this frenzy of applying to as many jobs as I could. And the focus was still a creative role, but at that time I was obviously very young. I was still not quite clear on what my focus should be. I knew that I was a creative person, but I really wasn't sure what kind of specialism I wanted to go into. I definitely had majority of rejections, but eventually I was able to get a couple of interviews, and I interviewed at TMW Unlimited, and I was able to get my first job as a junior art worker there. Um, I think that whole process of finding my first job took me ages, and that's from applying to getting the role as well. And I think the most important lesson that I learned from that is really making sure that I know what I want. I think that was the challenge for me because I was just starting my career. So I wasn't quite clear on that. And I think by the end of that experience, I just realized I really needed to tailor my applications and show my personality. And that was something that I kind of learned within that 3 months. But yeah, that's kind of how I got my first job, I guess. It was in so TNW Unlimited is a marketing agency essentially. And when I started as a junior art worker there, it was very, very sort of technical, visual communication based. So after a year or so of doing artworking, I realized that I was more of a creative person. I wanted to be the one creating those interesting visual, impactful designs. So yeah, eventually I was promoted to a designer there, a junior designer, and then yeah, that's how I sort of kicked off my more creative side of my career.
Nice. No, that's really interesting. It's interesting you said about, going into something and then finding your feet and trying different things out and then discovering what it is that you want to do.
Exactly. It really gave me a very, very good technical foundation of design, what it takes to actually print these designs, how sort of one spelling mistake could, implicate the business in a financial way and, all those things. It was a really good learning experience. So yeah, I wouldn't have it any other way.
When you just said one spelling mistake,
Yeah.
the pressure. So yeah, so now that you've been working as a design consultant, what would be
Yeah.
great to know is what are the most important qualities a product designer or senior design consultant could have?
I think one of the most important things that I think has really benefited me personally so far in my career is just having a beginner's mind approach. I think, always having like a willingness to learn, never assuming that you know everything, being open-minded. I think that willingness to be open to learn is really important, especially in leaders as well. I think it's important for, more senior designers and leadership to also ensure that they employ that sort of mindset as being sort of open to hearing other people's ideas, being a good listener. That kind of actually ties into the second thing that I wanted to say, which is around, making sure that you listen well. I think really great product designers are the ones that can actually sit back in a room full of people and really hear what other people have to say. And I think, integrity starts with listening as well. And I think by being a good listener, other people will trust you as well and trust your expertise because they know that they're being heard. And especially in this sort of role, being a product designer, it's really our responsibility to empathize with the people that we're designing for. It's our job to design what they want, not what we want. And that's actually really challenging sometimes, to kind of remove your personal bias.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that. I guess
Yeah.
being able to flip between the two
Mhm.
will make you incredibly successful, I guess, at being a product designer.
There is one more that I feel like I've really really struggled with, but I feel like I'm slowly getting better the more experience that I get. But it is almost, being a balancing act in a way. The reason why I say, being a balancing act is really important is because I feel like, you're not, yes, we have to prioritize user needs as like the most important thing that we do. We also have to find ways to negotiate and manage business goals as well.
Yeah, no, definitely 100%. I can see that being so tricky.
Agree. Yeah, definitely.
So let's move on to our next question. What's the best career advice you've ever been given?
One of the best pieces of career advice that I've had is so simple. It's literally just be fearless. And I think for me, being fearless translates into things like recognizing my value, seizing opportunities when they're available. Some of those things that I've mentioned, I mean, recognizing my value, for example, that took me years, like really and truly years, and I still don't think I 100% recognize the value that I offer in my work and my expertise as a product designer. You need to believe in yourself, and you need to recognize your value. So I guess, yeah, like just being fearless, recognizing your value, seizing opportunities when they come to you. I mean, this is the perfect example as well. I think one of my goals for this year personally was to try and put myself out there a bit more. I'm very much an advocate being a South Asian woman as well, being in the tech sector, being in finance, you know, kind of being an advocate and a mentor in the design community is really matters to me. And one thing that I promised myself is that this year I would try to put myself out there a bit more in the hope that it might help someone else who is also South Asian like me, and maybe encourage them to pursue a career like this.
Oh, I love this. It's like a motivational, almost motivational speech. Sometimes the best advice is the most
Yeah,
simple.
it really is.
Like, be fearless. I mean, it's something that, yeah, like you said, it sounds quite simple, but in practice is incredibly like
A lot harder.
difficult. But no, that is yeah, I love those pieces of advice. And I love that every time it's something different as well.
Mhm.
So thank you for bringing not only something different, but something very reassuring. And yeah, it's just, I feel like that advice is quite feel good advice.
Oh,
Thank you
thank you.
so much for being a guest on the show.
Thank you for having me. Honestly, I love having conversations like this. Thank you for giving myself and others the platform to do that.
No worries, it's my pleasure. It's so not only rewarding, but it's so nice to be able to just share and make others feel like, yeah, they're not alone. Like, we're all in this together. So yeah, thank you so much for being a guest, Ineshka.
Thank you so much.
Until next time.
Yes, hopefully.
Bye.
Take care.